All right, so in that last video, I was talking a little bit about like contentions around standing, and that hadn't been actual the overarching uh uh content piece of content that I wanted to offer as value with this series, but it was just simply expressing that from that standpoint, if you follow the context of the previous video, is that a human being is a part of the earth and is the earth, and therefore is entitled to some of the bounties and enjoyment and privileges and advantages of being the earth as a human being, because the earth is wealth. Some people would say the greatest earth wealth is health, but what health is there apart from the earth? So the greatest wealth might actually still be the earth, because that's the standpoint of all health, and the enjoyment of all health is the earth. And human beings, we're a part of that, so it's therefore a part of us. But a lot of life nowadays, especially with the gaming of like finance and like even duties, is that so I put in one of the first videos of this series is that you actually, according to Nassim Nicholas Taleb, you cannot isolate value and risk. There will be risk attendant of any value, otherwise it had not entirely been value, or maybe you can't derive or express value without there being some form of risk attendant of that. And that would actually account for a lot of these different contracts we sign, such as lease or contracts of any kind, is that that's appreciated preemptively, is that in any kind of exchange of value, there's also an exchange of risk. And sometimes that can come to a head, and it can be potentially costly to either party of an agreement if it got to the point of being addressed or recognized by an actual venue that is mitigating, that has interest in mitigating or preserving or exacting equity, that is justice. But I think that according to Tashreeq Bey, most of the venues that would met justice now are simply corrupt and de facto, just on the very premise of where they're being where they're seated upon, on land that has not been acquired at all, because there was no righteousness there was no righteousness in how the land was in how it is being enjoyed, and how its inhabitants were displaced, deceded, and disenfranchised. You can't, what the aftermath of that and the function of that, you can't take the injustice out of that, and that injustice will yet exact a cost and a detriment to anyone who engages that value that is predicated on, and is still that's still possessed of that injustice and dishonesty. You can't you can't take the value without what has made something, because it is what makes something is a part of something. So a lot of these, I don't know that there's any actual seat for justice, like on a land that's presently occupied. And so and also when you sign a lot of contracts, they'll be wanting to force you to agree to like a form of like arbitration. I think that's like a certain type of justice that may more so favor a business interest. I think in combination with the wording of these agreements, the seat of arbitration in combination with the wording of agreements might make it just completely disenfranchising to an ordinary person transacting business, not as a like a corporate body, or like with from coming from like wealthy interests, or the support of wealth, like high powered attorneys. So you're the only maybe saving grace you would have for justice in a seat of justice that's already on top of occupied land would be like the actual compassion, or the just the reasoning of your peers. Like a jury of your peers might be your only recourse to actual equity and justice. But since a lot of these contracts are demanding arbitration, which is arbitrary, it's going to be arbitrary. Therefore, it is already de facto based on the land, but then it's yet arbitrary arbitration on top of that. So you just you're agreeing to disavow whatever mercies and protection you had based on the empathy, compassion, and stature and standing of your peers, and you're going to arbitration. But I'm not speaking as a lawyer. That's just how I appreciate, how I sense things as a person who's been privy to the teachings of Tashreeq Bey, and then just a person who's contracted different businesses as a layman and civilian, and actually got intimidated and maybe disenfranchised doing so, is that I wouldn't even deign to attempt to take something up with on a legal matter if I felt wronged in something I'd agreed to that's based on that's based on a seat of justice, a venue of justice on occupied land in the first place, and then arbitrary arbitration in the second place. I wouldn't even attempt it. Um, but a lot of things are kind of like so. But it's kind of, but we are yet entitled to some of the blessings and the enjoyment and privilege of living on and as the earth as human beings, and that would be called our birthright, according to Tashri Bey. And most of the things that we say, most of the things that we transact on a daily basis, are exactly trying to displace or skew the real value of whatever privilege and enjoyment we're entitled to. Because since we are the earth, and with my statements about justice, just like you can't entirely separate value and risk, you can't entirely separate the earth and value. And since we as human beings are part of the earth, there's something of value that is us and that is with us, howsoever much injustice we suffer, and howsoever much we are disenfranchised, we are still yet valuable because we are still yet the earth. And that might be why we have the pretense, in the pretext of ostensibly having human rights, would be just to account for and mitigate some of our actual. So when they're saying human rights, they're more so saying earth rights, because we're the earth and the earth is valued, and the only reason we have any rights at all would because we have value. There's no appreciation of rights outside of value. And my father has said that a lot of our different like legal, like law enforcement, is more so to protect value, that is property, and the right and privilege and standing of property. So were you to run across real difficulty and dilemma as a civilian, you're more so only you're marginal in the first place. So you're not appreciated as having a lot of value. You're not appreciated as being valuable without having property. It may take longer for them to respond to a need of yours, if at all. And then were something heinous or atrocious to happen to you, or something be stolen from you, it's addressed in the second place simply because you are viewed as property, because you are the earth, and these bodies and the interests that they pay fealty to, and that they are under the auspices of, are claiming the right to an entitlement, that more not right but more so entitlement to the land, and that you are from the land. They are also claiming entitlement to you and your person, and so they are following up behind and looking into what may have happened to you or with you, from that standpoint, not your actual value implicitly as a living being, and your emotional, your heart, your mind, will, and emotion is not what's at stake. It's the fact that you are yet the earth, and what value is a part of that and can be expressed from that with your mind, will, and emotions is what's looked into as something heinous happened to you, heaven forbid. But that was my father's position. But I think that but we're still entitled to things, but yet because we are things, but yet we're displaced from it. It's kind of like in that the movie Life, like with their Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy have been incarcerated by a mistaken identity, and they were set up, and so they took a fall for someone that actually did do something wrong. But then in that experience, someone like a bigger, when you get in a situation like that, it doesn't matter how people got there; they're just there now. And so you have the leverage and the politics of what that reality is, and that's a little bit separate from the actual context or pretense or real justice at play. Not entirely separate, but it's its own reality. It's just the situation and the dynamics. So there's someone's like, are you gonna eat your cornbread? And that's a lot of like what these bills are doing. Like, so like these different bill collectors and people exacting different duties and payment from us, and regular monthly payment on different things. What they're saying is, are you going to eat your cornbread? Are you going to eat your birthright? Are you going to eat this earth that you are, that you're a part of? Are you going to eat what is the joy and privilege of your life and opportunity to exist? Are you really going to eat that? We need to know, because we'd also like to eat it, even though we're having ours too. So we like to so can you have your cake and eat it too? No, can you have your cake and eat it too, and eat someone else's too? That's what is being said nowadays. But I want to keep going with that.